An insider hints that Starfield might be releasing this holiday. PlayStation is copying Xbox by releasing more games on the PC. And could the big Bethesda deal actually get blocked legally? There's a lot here we need to talk about, so let's get into it. What is going on, everybody? It's Randall Thor 19, the man with the million, back again with another video. I hope everyone's having a great day, and if you guys can do me a huge favor, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and please hit that notification bell if you haven't already. I just want to thank everybody for checking out the video. It means the world to me. Alright guys, we have a ton of different topics I want to discuss in this video. A big-time publisher praises Xbox Game Pass, and I have to ask the question if we will see more collaborations between Game Pass and publishers like EA Play in the future. And of course, one of the biggest announcements of the week was that PlayStation was bringing some of their first-party exclusives to PC once again, making their fanboys incredibly angry and trying to come up with excuses like it's not day and date. We have a lot there to talk about. It's definitely going to be a very fun topic. You won't want to miss it. But first, we are going to talk about Starfield and how an industry insider has said that he thinks this game will be launching this holiday. That's right, 2021. So first announced all the way back at E3 2018, Starfield looked like it would be the first next-gen console game to launch with the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S. We've gotten zero details since then, leaving fans to wonder if the project is still in development at all. An industry insider who posts under the name Nate Drake popped into a Reset Era thread about Bethesda's future plans to share some information about a potential launch window. Quote, "There has been a strong hope and desire to have Starfield launch this year," says Nate Drake. How major the impacts due to COVID have been on the title is anyone's guess, but 2021 was the intended goal for release as of a few months ago. Later down the thread, Nate Drake admits that he's not 100% certain that the game will hit that launch date, but that word on the street is that 2021 was Bethesda's goal. What's uncertain is exactly when that goal was put in place and what may have changed since. While this is one of those situations where you can't help but be skeptical, there is some reason to believe this could be the case. Reporter Jeff Grubb recently pointed out that Bethesda isn't likely to announce much of anything until the company is officially acquired by Microsoft. That deal finalizes in March, which means that some sort of grand presentation could be coming this spring shortly thereafter. So there's a couple things we need to put together here. We have this insider Nate Drake who said he had heard that 2021 was the target release date a few months ago. And then we have Jeff Grubb, as discussed in my last video, saying that he expects there to be some sort of event or video in the middle of March after the Bethesda deal closes. Now, I've speculated what that event could entail, but I feel very strongly that during this event or video where Microsoft celebrates bringing Bethesda into the fold, that Starfield will be name dropped once again. Phil Spencer has mentioned it almost every single time he talks about Bethesda because he knows that it's going to be a huge game. And it's going to be a massive part of the acquisition because if Nate Drake is right and the game is targeting a release this holiday, then Xbox's 2021 just got even bigger. You have Halo Infinite delayed from launch, of course, which was very disappointing, but with all the new information and screenshots they are posting from the Halo Waypoint, where they're giving us a look at the game as it's progressing, it's going to look much better. And I'm expecting that game to launch this November. But then if you can add Starfield on top of it from the makers of Fallout and Elder Scrolls as this huge RPG that's launching alongside Halo, whether in October, whether in December, that is a huge 1-2 punch. And if Microsoft could also somehow get out Forza Horizon 5 this holiday, you're gonna have a very strong 1-2-3 punch with Forza Horizon 5, Starfield, and Halo Infinite. But then of course reality might step in. The pandemic is ongoing. COVID hasn't been kind to games and the release dates they have been targeting. Sony recently announced that Gran Turismo 7, which was set for 2021, is now coming out in 2022. And there's speculation that God of War Ragnarok is also going to be delayed to 2022. What does that mean for Microsoft first party? Well, Halo was delayed once, and I feel very confident it's going to hit its target. But with Starfield, if it was planned to hit 2021, we don't know if COVID hasn't impacted it, and they haven't announced a release date for it. But I feel very strongly we will see some new material for Starfield during this Xbox Bethesda event, and then maybe during a summer showcase, we get a longer look at Starfield with a release date set for this holiday. Yes, I really believe this game is coming out this holiday. I'm sticking to my guns. It's what I said before, and I'm gonna ride until I die with that prediction. Now lately, I've also been getting a ton of DMs and tweets from people asking if the Bethesda deal could get delayed to sometime next year because of a lawsuit that is ongoing right now with Fallout 4. The basic gist of the situation is that Bethesda was selling a season pass that promised all of the DLC they ever made for Fallout would be included with it. But eventually later on they made another DLC called the Creators Club and charged extra for that. Well, there was a class action lawsuit because they feel Bethesda lied, etc, etc. And in this article it says that lawyers behind the lawsuit have reportedly filed papers to seek more information and if necessary to block Microsoft's purchase of Bethesda in case the deal means it is able to shift its assets to a new legal entity and shield itself from liability. Quote, "What we're going to try and do is go in and ask a judge to stop the sale between Microsoft and Bethesda to preserve its assets," lawyers told GamesBeat. And it's known as a motion for a preliminary injunction. If the class action lawsuit goes to trial, it could be 2022 before it's resolved in court. Now, I'm not a lawyer whatsoever, guys. I don't know what's going to happen with this lawsuit, but I can only imagine that Microsoft has some of the best lawyers in existence working for them right now, and they knew about this lawsuit when entering into an agreement to buy Bethesda. And I can imagine that those lawyers said this isn't a big deal whatsoever, and it's certainly not going to block the sale of Bethesda ZeniMax to Microsoft. So in my opinion, I don't think there's any way, shape, or form that the acquisition gets stopped because of this. What will probably end up happening is that they will settle out of court, or Bethesda might just say, you know what, if you own that season pass, you can have the creation content for free. Our bad, there you go. Something like that is probably how this all will end up. Alright, I gotta get into this very juicy PlayStation news because Jim Ryan announced that more PS4 exclusives will be jumping ship and making their way onto PC. Now, excuse me if I pat myself on the back on this one, as I have been saying this is going to happen since 2019 and nobody believed me. Most of the PlayStation community attacked me when I said Horizon Zero Dawn would come to PC. Pretty much every single PlayStation guy said, no Rand, that would never happen. Sony knows the value of exclusives. Those games will only be on PlayStation, even though I knew it was in Sony's plans to release everything on PC, and they were taking it very slowly because they think the PlayStation community needs to be coddled a little bit. If you recall, when Horizon Zero Dawn was announced for PC, Herman Helst had to go to the PlayStation blog and say, don't worry guys, it's just one AAA exclusive. It doesn't mean we're bringing all of them to PC. And less than a year later, a whole slate of PlayStation exclusives will be making their way to PC. And you want to know why this is happening? Because Sony wants to make more money, and the PC is a market they haven't been exploiting. A ton of gamers on PC want to play their games, but don't want to buy what they would consider inferior hardware to play those games. GQ asked Jim Ryan, so releasing PlayStation games on PC was something that Sony PlayStation held back on for a long time. Now it sounds like you're very much on that bandwagon. What changed? I think a few things changed. We found ourselves now in early 2021 with our development studios and the games that they make in better shape than they've ever been before. Particularly from the latter half of the PS4 cycle, our studios made some wonderful, great games. There's an opportunity to expose these great games to a wider audience and recognize the economics of game development, which are not always straightforward. The cost of making games goes up with each cycle as the caliber of the IP has improved. Also, our ease of making it available to non-console owners has grown, so it's a fairly straightforward decision for us to make. GQ then says, this is following on from your publishing Horizon Zero Dawn on PC in August last year. How did that go? And Jim Ryan says, we assessed the exercise in two ways. Firstly, in terms of the straightforward success of the activity of publishing the game on PC, people liked it and they bought it. We also looked at it through the lens of what the PlayStation community thought about it. There was no massive adverse reaction to it, so we will continue to take mission steps in this direction. So what Jim Ryan is basically saying in this interview is that our studios make some really great games. There's an audience over on PC that doesn't play our games, and since game development costs constantly go up and up and up, these games are really expensive to make. And instead of keeping these exclusives locked down on our platform where they may have sold through as much as they ever will sell, we're also going to release these games on PC to earn more money in a very similar way to what Xbox has been doing on PC. Now, I don't think PlayStation will ever do anything day and date, but you are very naive if you think PlayStation 5 exclusives like Ratchet & Clank and God of War Ragnarok and the next Spider-Man won't make their way to PC. You gotta realize that the PlayStation fans who are truly upset about this have been moving the goalposts for years. Originally, when Xbox announced that they were publishing games on PC, they said Sony would never put an IP that they owned on PC. And then what do you know? Death Stranding came to PC about 6 months after it launched on PlayStation, but people found excuses for it. Oh, Sony doesn't own Kojima, so it's okay. And then Horizon Zero Dawn came to PC, and their world was shook, but they still made exclusives. It's just one game. It shares the Decima engine with Death Stranding, so that's okay. And here we are less than a year later, and a whole slate of games are coming from PlayStation to PC. And now the cry is, well, at least it's not day and date, which is absolutely hilarious considering they originally had said Sony will never, and they really emphasized the never, bring their first-party games to PC. And look where we are. Even the time frame has shortened. Horizon Zero Dawn, 3-year-old game. That's what people said. It's okay because it's a 3-year-old game. And what do you have? You have Days Gone now, which is a 2-year-old game. So it's only a matter of time before that time frame shrinks even more, and it's a game that is 1-year-old, and then it shrinks even more to a game that just launched 6 months ago on PlayStation 5. The reality of the situation here is that Sony's leaving a ton of money on the table, and they're going to go get it because they see how successful Xbox has been with PC releases this past year, Flight Simulator, Sea of Thieves, etc., etc. And they don't really care what you think. Jim Ryan literally said in this interview that they saw no huge backlash. But that's kind of weird because on my Twitter timeline, all I saw were PlayStation guys complaining about it. You think you guys are the PlayStation community when it's probably just 50 to 100, maybe 500 at most really vocal PlayStation fans, when the overall PlayStation community doesn't care if these games went to PC. All they want from PlayStation is really great exclusive games, and they don't care if they're exclusive to the console. You really vocal, angry PlayStation fans are just going to have to realize that Sony is going to continue to put their games on PC because they can make a lot of money, and number two, that they don't care what you think about their decision. Now, switching gears yet again, I want to talk about Sega and what they feel about Xbox Game Pass. Sega said they're really happy with the results, and we hope Microsoft is too. Ultimately, they wanted quality titles, and we wanted to take advantage of a great new opportunity. Xbox Game Pass helped propel the Two Point Hospital franchise to over 3 million players worldwide. That's a huge benefit of being on Game Pass. It strengthens the exposure you get to a huge first-party audience. That surge in engagement in turn helps to further establish your product in the marketplace. It's great for us, and it's great for consumers who get to experience something they may not have engaged with outside of the Game Pass model. Now, the reason I bring this up is because I think we will see more collaborations between Game Pass and publishers just like EA Play. And in fact, this year, I expect we will see Ubisoft make its games available on Xbox Game Pass. And with how Sega is talking about how much they like that, I wouldn't be surprised in the future, whether it's next year, that Microsoft and Sega have a partnership and they put all their games into Xbox Game Pass, as it seems everybody loves Xbox Game Pass. Anyways, guys, that's the video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and please share this video out on social media or tell a friend about the channel. I would appreciate that very much. You can always hit that notification bell, which will notify you immediately whenever I drop a video like this. If you want to take the support for the channel even further, you can hit the join button, where you will get access to channel badges and emotes for the Xbox 2 podcast we do every single Friday with Jess Corden from Windows Central. Thank you guys so much for watching. I truly appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next video. Later, guys.